Hey guys, I am here today to finally do my 10-10 collab. Former Mrs. Jones once again tagged me, and I have no kids, so I'm getting my tag videos done today. But anyways, this video is about 10 things that I wish I would have known about money 10 years ago. It's a great idea for a collab video, and I haven't done a Dave Ramsey related one in a while, so I'm excited to do this. I've been thinking about it for a couple weeks, and I really tried to not make it super Dave Ramsey-ish, but in the end, everything I learned is from him about money, so it's gonna be similar to most people's probably. And they're in no particular order, I just wrote them down as I thought of them, so I'll just get started. Okay, first of all, 10 years ago, I would have been almost 19, Jared would have been 21, so that's about the time that we moved out on our own, moved away from home and got our own apartment. We were going to college. This was a community college, and we didn't know much about money. So we've learned a lot, we've come a long way, but it's fun to reflect back on. But anyways, number one, I wish I had known to be content with what I have. Basically, I just remember we would go shopping a lot. We spent a lot of time at the mall. Back in those days, we were big partiers, so we would go out every single weekend, and I remember I always thought I needed a new outfit every weekend. So like I said, we would go to the mall a lot, and also we would go buy new decorations for our home. Oh my goodness, I just remembered, we used to be obsessed with buying movies. So by the time we moved into this house, we had a collection of at least 400 DVDs. That could be a totally different point. The amount of money we spent on DVDs, which now if you sell them, they're like 50 cents. But yes, we used to buy DVDs like crazy. Anyways, sorry, I got off topic there. But yeah, I remember just going, and we spent a lot of time at Best Buy. We used to spend a lot of money on stuff. We liked material things, and we've learned a lot the past few years, especially me. I'm really frugal and cheap, so I don't shop very much for things. We spend more of our money now on just doing family things or on food. We do still spend a lot of money on food. But anyways, so 10 years ago, I just wish I had known that I didn't need so much material things and just to be content with what we have. Number two, I wish I had known more about meal planning and everything that goes along with meal planning, even creating a grocery list to go shopping. One thing that I've really worked on over the past few years is to do inventory before I go shopping, and I try really hard not to waste food. We'll eat a lot of leftovers for days. I don't care. I'll do what I need to do not to waste it, but I know I used to not be like that, so I'm sure that a lot of food was wasted, which equals waste of money. Also, food related is going out to eat. It was about 10 years ago that I started the job that I quit recently, and that was in downtown Fort Worth. It was a nice place to work, and I remember we would go out to lunch almost every single day. And it wasn't to Taco Bell or McDonald's, it was to the actual restaurants, which are already somewhat expensive, and then you gotta pay for tip and everything. So I would love to go back and see what I spent on food back then, but that would be kind of scary. Anyways, number three, pretty obvious. I wish I had known how to budget. I didn't start budgeting until about 3 years ago, and definitely could not imagine not having a plan for my money now, just some kind of plan. And to go a step farther, not just budgeting, but I wish I had known to not live beyond my means because I wasn't budgeting. I had memberships to gyms and to tanning places, and then when I finally learned how to budget and I sat down and wrote all this down, I realized I wasn't even making enough money to pay for all this stuff. And at that time I had gotten a car payment, so basically I was living beyond my means, and I never realized it. And that led to what y'all have heard me say before. Both Jared and I were really bad about overdrafting our accounts, so who knows how much that has cost us in the past 10 years. So yeah, if I had known how to budget, then we wouldn't have had all those problems. And they're so stupid. Number four, a pretty obvious one. I wish I had known to be weird and not have a car payment. My first car was given to me by my grandpa when I was shortly after I turned 16, and it was like a 98 Honda Civic hatchback, which he paid $1,000 for, and it was a great car. I loved it. I was fine with it. I drove it for 5 or 6 years, and then I got in a wreck around Christmas time of 2010 or 11, I don't know. I decided to just get rid of that car and get something new because I had had that car for so long, so I deserved a brand new car since I had never had one. So that's what I did. I do remember my mom kept asking me, can you afford it? Can you afford it? And I was like, yeah. And at that time, since it happened in December, at my job, we would get raises and a bonus every year in like February or March. I remember telling her, yes, I'm about to get a raise and all this stuff, so I can definitely afford it then, but really, I hadn't been budgeting, so I didn't know what I could afford. I ended up getting a newer Honda Civic, and the car payment was $340 a month, which now just seems so crazy, the thought of paying that. And Jared had just bought his first brand new car at that time, and his payment was $380. Combined, we were paying $720 a month in car payments, and when I think about that, it's just like, I couldn't imagine doing that again. That's just like the stupidest thing ever. Car payments are just so stupid. Sorry. But Dave says that, so it's okay for me to say it, right? Number 5, obviously, I wish I had never had a credit card, but more so, I wish I had known to completely get rid of my credit card. Because like I said, once a year at my job, I would get a bonus, and I remember every time I would get a bonus, I would pay off my credit card, and I would tell myself, I'm not going to use it again. But not having a budget and still having the credit card, I always ended up racking up thousands of dollars on it again. So that never stopped until I finally got on this plan and cut up the credit cards and completely got rid of them. Wish I had known 10 years ago to cut it up. Number 6, wish I had known to care more about saving for retirement. When I started that job about 10 years ago, I did start a 401k, but you know, I didn't know anything about it. I just put my 3% in there like they said. The company matched it, but I didn't know anything about the funds that I was splitting it up into. I just did whatever. I had no idea what I was doing, so I wish I had learned a little bit more about it back then, but I didn't care because I was so young. I'm sure Jared, both of us, if we had understood more about retirement back then and all that stuff, I'm sure that we'd be like super rich by now. And no, I'm just kidding. I'm sure we'd have a lot of money saved up. And also just saving in general for big purchases. I remember going on a cruise one year, and that was all put on our credit card. We didn't care. We just put it on our credit card. It took years to pay it off. Number 7, I wish that I had understood interest and wish I had paid more attention to it. The percentage rate, you could tell me 25%, 3%, like I didn't care. I didn't really understand it, so it didn't really matter to me. I remember about the time we started doing the Dave Ramsey stuff, I was making the minimum payments on my student loans at that time. And I remember sitting at work and I started looking through these statements of my student loans, and that's when I realized all this time all my payments had only been going to interest. And I remember calling Jared and I was like, what the heck? And I couldn't believe it. And he was like, yeah, that's how it is. Like, we just thought that was normal. And I think that was around the time we were like, you know, no, this can't be normal and we're not going to do this. We're going to start doing something about it and getting this paid off sooner. I just wish I had taken the time to learn more about this stuff 10 years ago, interest and all that. Number 8, I wish that I had thought more along the lines of, can I afford this versus can I afford the payments? Because that's something Dave always says, is we tend to think these days about, can I afford a $340 car payment rather than can I afford a $20,000 car? Because that's really how we should think, and we should learn to save up for stuff. And you know, maybe if we would think that way and we would you know, buy things that we can actually afford rather than borrowing money from someone else to make stupid payments on it, we wouldn't have been in the big mess that we were in when we realized how much debt that we have. So we should just, you know, really teach people to be in that mindset of, can they afford the whole thing rather than can they afford the payments? And, you know, maybe explain interest and all that along with it. Number 9, I wish I had known to live on less than I made and not live paycheck to paycheck. Because like I told you all a while ago, when I started writing down my expenses, I realized that I was living on more than I made. And yeah, we'd always lived paycheck to paycheck, couldn't wait till payday. And I still get excited about payday, but it's different, you know. If we had learned to live on less than we made, maybe I would have gotten to stay at home sooner, because that was really our goal for getting out of debt, was so that I could stay home. And then number 10, I was running out of ideas, so I asked Jared for his opinion. And you know, we're so different. I'm like, takes me weeks to come up with a list, and then Jared, I like, hey, can you give me an idea for this collab video? And he just like immediately throws out a good answer. So what he said was, if we had known more about money, how to handle money 10 years ago, we would have known that we can leverage money to do good. Basically, back then, we were spending all of our money on ourselves. So if we had known more about money, then we would have known that more can be done with it rather than just spent it on ourselves. We would have known more about saving, more about giving, all the good that we can do to help others, not just by giving money, but also the amount of people that we've influenced in a good way. Since we started our debt-free journey, we've impacted a lot of other people, helped them to get on the right track, you know, through YouTube and in our personal life. So if we had known about this all 10 years ago, just think of how many more people we could have influenced and how many more we could have helped by knowing more about giving and all that stuff. But back then, all of our money was spent on ourselves, so we didn't have any money to give. Kind of, number 10 is kind of about giving, knowing more about giving, but also there's lots of ways that you can, like he said, leverage your money to do good if you have a good handle on it. Right? I hope that I explained things well. I'm not very good with words sometimes. But thank you for watching. That's all. Thanks to Mrs. Jones for tagging me. And if you guys want to pick up this video and do it as well, go ahead. And what are some things that you wish that you knew about money 10 years ago? That's all. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. Bye.